Today is February 7th, 2023. Michael Cook speaking. It's currently, I don't know, what time is it? It's like 10:35, right? So I was just riding by on my bike and saw that my former employer's sign isn't working correctly. So I felt like maybe I should make a quick video where I talk about infrastructure and how I worked for them back in 2010 into 2011. Not at this location, it was in the Clifton Park location, right? See, the N and F are flashing not by design, but because there's something wrong with the fucking sign, right? But do you think they'll ever notice that? Hell no. The reason they'll never notice it is because nobody is ever here at night, which means that they don't have anybody that works for them that's going to work overnights here, which means that they probably have a whole bunch of people that work 9 to 5, and at 4:55 they're already walking out the door. I don't know that for a fact though. Here's the reason why I'm making that statement, right? Daniel Pickett lived right around the corner from me on Cemetery Road in Clifton Park, right? I didn't know this, but another key feature of being a meticulous son of a bitch like me is that I found out that my former employer, Daniel Pickett, I don't think he has anything to do with infrastructure anymore, or maybe he just talks to them. But Daniel Pickett has a brother named Jesse, and my dad, who was killed in 1995, wrote down 785-3221 Jesse Pickett on the back of an appointment card for a doctor at St. Peter's Hospital and Dr. Kite. Now, I really don't know what the connection is there, but here's what causes me to be more attentive to detail than most people in society, right? So that flashing sign right there, the N and the F, I'm not saying that there's any fucking conspiracy behind why the N and the F aren't working. I'm not saying that the fucking people who made the sign, they wanted to really screw them over, so it would say raw structure, right? Raw structure, NF being no fucks, and then raw structure, NF being I'm being really what's the word I'm looking for? I'm being obnoxiously obtuse by saying something like that, right? But what I'm not being obnoxiously obtuse about is I think that when I worked for infrastructure and I worked my ass off, I was one of those guys that was willing to work overnight if need be and catch up on work if need be, but there's never a need for me to do that. And the reason for that is because when I worked for the Infrastructure Corporation back in 2010 to 2011, I had a service level agreement with the Adidas Reebok Corporation in North America. And my job that was my primary role, was to fix any of the registers they would cross-ship the registers, and they'd be like, you better fucking send us another register, dude, within 48 hours, because if you don't, fuck you, dude. They didn't say it like that, but, you know, part of the reason why I like use the vocabulary that I do, because it makes my like boring fucking story sound a lot more interesting. You know, who wants to hear about me? It's taking 4 hours to install all of the updates on Windows XP. Nobody wants to know a goddamn thing about a 4-hour job that I was able to whittle down to like 20 fucking minutes per machine, right? Yeah, so like when I first like started working there, it did take like 4 hours, and then eventually it took like 20 fucking minutes. And the reason for that is because when Michael Cook decides to do a job, he's gonna look for ways to be more efficient and to like, you know, make the same amount of get the same amount of work done with a lot less leverage, or a lot more leverage, I should say. So here's an interesting tidbit of information, right? Each machine that we would cross ship generated like supposedly $800 per machine that was, you know, cross shipped. I would imagine that like shipping a machine like that overnight probably cost at least $100 back in 2010. And I think that's why they like had an office down here, so that like they could be closer to FedEx and they would save money on shipping or time or whatever. I don't really know. But we used to have like the UPS guy and the FedEx guy, and they would come every day. Sometimes they wouldn't show up till real late in the afternoon. Sometimes, very rarely, they would do that. But you know, like what I was putting into the company register was anywhere between like $800 to $2,400 per day doing that one job. So obviously the expenses shouldn't be like completely glossed over. I understand that. They're paying me about $100 a day to work there, and that included benefits. You know, benefits like Daniel Pickett inviting the entire company to the Saratoga golf course to have Prime 99 or whatever it was, Prime something, show up and like eat the most delicious fucking food that they make. They did have some fucking really good steak and amenities. I don't really remember what the hell was on the menu the night that me and my ex-girlfriend went there, but I do remember I was pretty sick because these people would constantly leave the fucking garage door wide open, and then I would constantly work hard, and then I would get really cold, and then all the sweat that was all over my body would immediately turn into icicles, and that is why I kept getting sick. Though you know, there is something to say about like I guess, you know, I had to like whittle down some of my attitudeisms, or it's not a real word, but you know, there's a flashing NF on the sign back there, and like, how long do you think that thing's been flashing like that? Nobody's done anything about it. Well, I'll tell you, like, there's a lot of people in society that will see a problem and they won't do anything about it, even if you like tell the right person. Like, I saw some girl like driving her car the other night into like the parking lot at Market 32 in Clifton Park, right? And she was pulling into the parking lot like a bat out of hell, and like I heard this scraping noise as she was pulling into the parking spot, and I could see like a portion of her bumper was like broken, right? And so like I was like, she's like rushing to get inside because she's obviously got somewhere to be, or she had somewhere to be. I said, hey, your thing is dragging on the ground. And she looks at me and she's like, oh, okay. Like, she's being sarcastic with me. She's like, oh, I need to fix that, don't I? And I'm like, yeah, you probably should, because you can get a ticket for that. She's like, all right, I'll handle it. Okay, cool. Yeah. She's being sarcastic about it, or like facetious. There's sometimes people will like be like casually obtuse with me, but sometimes they'll be like very sarcastically facetious with me because they don't think anything of it. So like, is there anything really inherently wrong with some car, the bumper piece, like hanging down on the ground and like grinding on the ground? Well, I don't think it's going to kill anybody. I don't think it's going to cause an accident, but there might be an underlying issue that could cause a problem. Like maybe the headlight assembly is broken, and then what could happen is that like the bulbs, they'll start to, if they're exposed to the elements at all, what'll happen is it'll rust around the bulb. And eventually the light bulb will like explode and it'll shatter in the glass. And then like the light might even still work and show light, but the glass is like, you know, it's dumping out onto the road. And then it's going to give somebody a flat tire. And then a flat tire at the wrong time might wind up causing a fucking traffic jam. And, you know, like, maybe I am being, like, a bit, like, meticulous about it. Why the hell is this all fuzzy? Yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know how long that was doing that. You know, I might be, like, a little meticulous about that, but these are the things that I see on a daily basis. It's like, somebody is not taking care of a problem, and it might, there's a whether, no matter how minute the possibility is, the possibility exists that a problem will cause another problem, will cause another problem, will cause another problem. And this is called the domino theory. So like, some people say that like it's really difficult to predict like the weather on a certain day or whatever. You know, people have been doing it for a real long time, but, you know, occasionally the weather person is wrong, which means that there's a manner of predictability or whatever. And there's a video that Michael Stevens talks about on Vsauce on YouTube. I can't remember exactly the whole entire content of it, but it's like, you know, the wings of a butterfly floating might influence, like, I don't know, like a tidal wave that happens somewhere else or something stupid like that, right? The point being, like, this chain of events thing, right? If someone lets problems sit around, and it causes problems for other people, and then other people wind up being victimized, and then when other people are victimized, it causes like people to have less empathy, and then rinse, recycle, repeat. You get yourself a situation where the problem is being indicated, but some people are like, handling that problem is fucking annoying, dude. You know, I don't think the flashing NF on the sign back there is gonna kill anybody. So why don't you shut the hell up? And that really is like a realistic look at how people like treat certain things, right? So like, I think I'm gonna end the recording because it was just kind of something I caught, you know, in the corner of my eye. And this is how observant I am. Like, I notice stuff like that constantly. You know, I wasn't trying to like go out. I didn't think, hey, let's go out of my way so I could conveniently record the video of the flashing NF on the sign infrastructure. And then like, whoa, then I could talk about how like my dad had an association to Daniel Pickett's brother back in 1989, which is like 3 years before the Infrastructure Corporation was even existed. Yeah, that is the truth, actually. Jesse Pickett and my dad had some sort of a association, and I don't know what it is, but I think that it had something to do with my termination from the company back in 2011, on January 11, 2011. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but you know, sometimes things that appear to be coincidental, they're not coincidental at all. And you know, once you start saying that, like, some rich dude's brother somehow knew your dead father before he was dead, maybe he might have had like ulterior motives for like getting rid of me from infrastructure, or like having somebody watch me over the years. Because I'm pretty sure that these guys had somebody watching me over the years, ever since I was like terminated from the company. For better or for worse, I really don't know. But you know, not having a fucking conversation with these guys is going to leave this question open-ended in my head. And you know, like, for all intents and purposes, most people in society, they will come up with excuses for them, right? And they'll write off like the observations that I made because I'm not a rich bastard like they are. If I was a rich bastard, then somebody would say, all right, dude, then like, why don't you like email him? Here's his email. Dan Pickett at infrastructure.com or .net or netforstructure.info. Or maybe it's, I don't know. I'm just being a fucking joker right now, right? I think that at some point in the future, Daniel Pickett and I are going to have a conversation, and it's not going to be about that fucking sign. It's going to be about something totally different. And it's going to have something to do with January 11th, 2011 and January 11th, 2019. And I'm pretty sure that he knows what the hell I'm referring to. And log.